What's up, guys? We're here. Welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out. Of course, glad to have an audience. Glad to have people enjoying what I'm doing. Hopefully that'll be the case. I don't know yet because this is the first official episode of the Gingersnap podcast. And this is going to be one of the few podcasts that I host where I'm going to try to make video format as well as audio. So I'm going to try and do both specifically for this show. And thanks for tuning in. Glad to be chatting you guys up here. But just going to tell you some things about me and just have a general conversation. This podcast doesn't really have a topic, I guess I'd say, that I'm going to be trying to stick with every episode. It's really just going to be me chatting it up with you guys, talking about everything, top to bottom. And it's going to be interesting because I feel like I'm an interesting guy. And I only have 15 minutes to do so. Some of the episodes will maybe not transition from video to audio because some of them I will want to be longer. If that makes sense. I'll put more time into it. So obviously if you're listening to the video, you're watching the video, seeing the video, please subscribe to the show on your podcast player. On Google Podcasts, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever they call it. All of those places, most definitely subscribe there because you won't miss out. If you want to be involved in the show, you want to, know when the show is available, get the podcast version. Because I don't know how well the YouTube thing is going to work out. Because, like I said, having a time limit is something that I can't really deal with. It's going to be a little bit difficult to limit myself to a specific amount of time in my conversating. But either way, guys, my name is Patrick Michael. Thank you for tuning into the Gingersnap podcast. I am trying to do comedy. I'm trying to be a comedian, trying to get to the level of comedy. Unfortunately, I'm in an area right now that has pretty much no comedy scene. Okay, people might be making videos, people might be trying to be funny and what have you, but open mics, very difficult to come by, as well as anything else that has to do with comedy. It's so hard to perform comedy in my area. It's not a very prominent thing in Indiana. So I'm trying to get myself out there, get more exposure by simply having a podcast, making videos, as well as my Instagram account, trying to make some moves over there. So be sure to follow me on Instagram at Patrick Michael Comedy. It's all one word. That's how it works. But yeah, man, I've been a ginger for a really long time, mostly my whole life. I spent a lot of years dyeing my hair bleach blonde, so that way, I don't know, I guess I looked albino instead of ginger, but didn't really work out. Either way, it's very interesting living the life of a ginger, being a ginger, because, like I said, I grew up kind of hating being called a redhead or a ginger or those things, and now I'm fully embracing it. And I think all of us should do the same. All of you gingers out there, embrace it. Don't be afraid to have red hair, for the simple fact that everybody out there is trying to have red hair. They want red hair. They can't get it. It's not natural. I was bred, I was born with this, I guess you'd say. Not bred. Yeah, there's not even a person in my family that I can name right now that was born with red hair other than myself. Pretty weird. But I'm definitely Irish. It's fun. I like to be Irish. Unfortunately, you're born with a drinking problem. It comes with who you are. But luckily, I don't have an issue with it. I actually don't drink at all, which is kind of ironic. But it's not all that it's cracked up to be. People act like, yeah, drinking is so awesome. It's so fun. It's the only way to have a good time. It's the best way to make a good time a better time. Well, I don't believe that. I smoke weed. That's what I do. That's what makes all times better times. And I said that at the 420 mark on the video, so that's pretty weird. Nailed it. Speaking of 420, that's coming up pretty soon, guys. Right around the corner. A couple days away. Hopefully you're excited. I'm excited. I'm going to be trying to put together a 420 episode for some of the other podcasts. Get some of the friends together, do some podcasting. Do some high casting or podcasting, if you will. I really do enjoy that, though. I do enjoy of course, the conversation with friends is amazing, but getting elevated with friends is even better. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. You have a great time. Everybody laughs their ass off, and you if you have the friends like I do, you start to conjure up weird thoughts about things. Why this is that way, or why that is this way. Very entertaining stuff, and it's some of the stuff that I like to kind of catalog and have for later conversations with myself right now, or with you, if you're listening. But I will say, this podcast will be available on all the podcast platforms very soon. I will probably release this video, and you guys will have a better chance of seeing the video long before the show comes out. But I wanted to put together a quick episode for the show, so that way there's something out there for you guys to kind of grasp onto. And then I'm also going to put together like a promo type of deal for the other shows that I host, so that way the people that are listening to those shows will be able to say, I knew about this. I knew about the Gingersnap podcast. I went over there and I subscribed because I listened to this show that he does, or that show that he does. I need to make sure that I'm involved completely and utterly, deeply, savagely. I don't know. Okay, so a few last things I just want to hit, because I don't want to do a super long episode for the introduction. I hate doing that. I just want to get it out there so there's some material out there for you guys to, be able to enjoy. And, I actually host somewhere in the numbers of like 12 different podcasts. And that might seem like a lot to the average podcaster out there, but my whole thing is anything for extra exposure. So I'm going out of my way, producing many, many shows, talking about many, many things, and whatever works, I get to figure, you kind of learn. You say, okay, well, that works, this doesn't. This works, that doesn't. So that's what I'm doing here, trying to get a consistent view on how well the YouTubing thing works in correspondence with the actual podcasting. So here we are. The experiment continues. And we will continue to experiment nonetheless. But like I said, I do host 12 podcasts, man. I got a lot of shit out there. So much. It's kind of crazy. You can find all of it wherever you listen to podcasts. That's CastBox, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. I guess maybe just search Seamus McKillian. You might find some stuff. Patrick Michael, you'll find some stuff. I host many shows, guys. So many that it's hard for me to name all of them in a single sitting, because I don't remember them all. But they all continue to produce, and I will always make episodes for each show. I try to stay as consistent with them as I can. Sometimes it's a 2-week basis in between each episode. Sometimes it's shorter. Sometimes I'm putting out 4 episodes in a week's time for one show. It just really depends. But I wanted to come here and create a show where I didn't feel to myself that I was forcing myself to talk about things, specific things, anything. I didn't want there to be a specification to what the show was. I want you to come into the show and be as open-minded as I'm going to try to be as the host. So, basic idea is just to be me, being as real as I can for you guys. Because I had recently heard Joey Coco Diaz. If you don't know who that is, he's an amazing comedian. He has an amazing podcast called The Church of What's Happening Now. And he was recently saying that a podcast, at least in the beginning, was supposed to be basically like a wiretap into your life, where people are listening to things going on around you and in your life as if they're a fly on the wall. That makes sense. And that's what I really want to try to get across with this show. I'm going to be doing my best to try to get some guests as well, because I have an actual way of recording long distance and all that stuff. So if I can make it work, I'm going to definitely try my best. I don't really have anybody in mind to start with, but doesn't mean it won't happen. And if that 420 show happens, it'll definitely be coming to this podcast for sure. We will definitely do a live video version as well as just the video version itself. Not a live version, if that makes sense. But this is fun, man. I really enjoy podcasting a lot. I really have embraced it, and I'm just continuously trying to grow with it. And it's ultimately made me that much more comfortable in public speaking, in a sense. Just like I've always had an inner comedian where I always felt myself to be funny. I felt comfortable. I would make uncomfortable situations more comfortable for myself by being funny, having a sense of humor in time. And doing these podcasts has made me be able to kind of hone the comedy skills, like where I'm talking to myself in a lot of ways, and I can still kind of pull the jokes, make the jokes happen. Sometimes. Introduction episodes, guys, I will say, very difficult for me to just pull a joke, but nonetheless, I will keep working. Most of my jokes are targeted towards myself, so you can't really be mad at that. But it has made me a lot more comfortable in what I'm doing, just podcasting in itself. It is a whole other avenue that people everywhere need to explore. Podcasting is huge, and it continues to grow, and I will grow with it. I enjoy the live versions. I don't know who doesn't. I like seeing the podcast on a video, and that's what I'm trying to bring with this show specifically. And I want this to be my show, something that I didn't create because this was popular, or other people are talking about that, or other people are doing something this way. This is my show, and it's always going to be my show, and I'm going to do everything I can to make a ginger snap in every episode. So stay tuned, guys. This is just beginning.